Danielle didn't cry when they replaced her. She just held tightly to the one bag they let her take. She walked out of the house slowly, step by step, her eyes straight ahead. Behind her, the front door was wide open. Her husband, Tunda, stood there with his arms crossed. His mother, Mama Tunda, stood beside him. Next to her was Papa Tunda, quiet as always. And then there was Yvonne, the new daughter-in-law, standing tall, smiling like she had won. Yvonne looked perfect. Her clothes were neat, her makeup light but pretty. She smiled sweetly, the kind of smile that says, "I'm better than you." She didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Everything about her said she belonged. Danielle no longer did. Danielle didn't stop. She didn't look back. Her heart was heavy, but her face showed nothing. No tears, no begging, no anger, just silence. She reached the front gate and paused for a second. She wasn't thinking about them. She was thinking about how fast everything had changed. Just weeks ago, she was cooking meals in that kitchen, cleaning that living room, helping Mama Tunde take her medicine. Now, she was being replaced, like she was never there. Yvonne is everything Danielle could never be, Mama Tunde whispered to a neighbor nearby. She made sure her voice was soft, but still loud enough for Danielle to hear. The neighbor said nothing. She had seen Danielle's kindness over the years, seen her sweeping the yard early in the morning, seen her rush home from her nursing shift to take care of the family. But now, she just gave a small, awkward nod. Danielle kept walking. Tunde didn't say a word. He didn't look at her. Maybe it was guilt, maybe it was shame, or maybe he just didn't care. Danielle had stopped trying to understand him. There had been no big fight, no loud ending, just a quiet sentence at breakfast one day. "I think it's time we go our separate ways," Mama Tundi agreed before he finished speaking. Divorce papers came the next day. Yvonne moved in right after. Her bags still had the flight tags on them. Danielle walked to the edge of the road and raised her hand to stop a taxi. The driver looked at her small bag, her calm face, and didn't ask any questions. She got in. Back at the house, Yvonne laughed softly and held Tunda's arm like she had claimed a prize. Danielle didn't look back, not even once. But the taxi driver, glancing at her through the mirror, saw something the others didn't. A woman who had finally stopped trying to be enough for people who never really saw her. And maybe, just maybe, that was her true beginning. Danielle was a gentle nurse. She worked long hours at the hospital, but she never came home too tired to help. She treated her husband's parents like her own. She cooked their food, cleaned the house, served everyone with love, and never complained. Even when money was tight, she helped. If Papa Tunda needed medicine, she paid for it. When Mama Tunda wanted something for the house, Danielle found a way to make it happen. She didn't ask for much, just respect, just a little kindness. But even that was too much to hope for. Tunda, her husband, was quiet and weak. He never stood up for her. When his mother spoke badly about Danielle, he stayed silent. When Mama Tunda made unfair rules or criticized her cooking, Tunda just nodded. He let his mother control everything in the house, and he followed her like a child. Mama Tunda was a strong woman, old-fashioned and proud. She believed a wife should be a certain way, soft-spoken, always agreeing, always obeying. She didn't think Danielle was good enough. She thought Danielle was too independent, too modern. Even though Danielle worked hard and gave everything, Mama Tund still looked down on her. She wanted someone more traditional, but really, she wanted someone she could control. Then came Yvonne. Yvonne was beautiful and polished. She always knew what to say. She smiled the right way, wore the right clothes, and greeted people sweetly. Everyone liked her at first. She knew how to win hearts quickly, but under the charm, she was something else. Mama Tunde was fooled right away. "She's perfect," she said. "This is the kind of daughter-in-law I deserve." She started comparing Yvonne to Danielle even before Danielle had left. Yvonne has class. Yvonne knows how to respect her elders. She didn't know the real Yvonne yet. It didn't matter how many times Danielle stayed up late cooking for the family. It didn't matter how many times she sat by Mama Tunda's hospital bed or helped Papa Tunda with his back pain. It didn't matter how much money she gave to keep the house running. They forgot it all. In their eyes, she was just not good enough. The day Danielle left, no one thanked her. No one even said goodbye properly. Tunda said nothing. Mama Tunda looked pleased. Papa Tunda stayed quiet, as always. Yvonne smiled and watched from the doorway like she had just won something. And maybe she had, at least for now. Danielle walked out with only one bag. That was all she was allowed to take. Everything else, the things she had bought, the memories she had built, stayed behind like they never belonged to her. A few neighbors saw her leave. Some looked away, uncomfortable. Others just whispered. Everyone knew Danielle had done everything for that family, but no one said a word. And Danielle didn't ask for pity. She just walked away with quiet dignity. Back in the house, Yvonne took her place easily. Mama Tundi showed her around like a prize. "This is my new daughter-in-law," she told anyone who visited. "She's everything Danielle wasn't." At first, everything seemed perfect. Yvonne acted like the sweetest wife. She smiled at everyone, wore pretty clothes, and always knew the right thing to say. Mama Tunda was proud. She told all the neighbors, "I finally have a proper daughter-in-law." But that happy time didn't last long. Just a few weeks after the wedding, Yvonne's true face started to show. Slowly, little by little, she changed. It began with small things. She stopped helping in the kitchen. When Mama Tunda asked her to cook one evening, Yvonne laughed and said, "That's not my job." She sat on the couch and scrolled through her phone while Mama Tunda cooked dinner for the whole family. Then, she started giving orders, like a boss. "Mama, make sure my white dress is washed and ironed before tomorrow. Papa, go buy the things I need from the market. Don't forget this time." She talked to them like they were her servants. When Papa Tunda moved too slowly, she shouted at him, "Can't you hear? I said I need it now." Mama Tunda was shocked. This was not the soft-spoken, respectful girl she had welcomed into her home. But when Tunde came home from work, Yvonne changed again. She smiled sweetly, acted soft, and even held Mama Tunda's hand. "She just doesn't like me," Yvonne would say with a sad face. "I try my best, but Mama always finds fault in everything I do." Tunde, as usual, didn't ask questions. He believed her. Mama Tunda was confused. "Maybe I'm imagining things," she thought. "Maybe she's just tired." But as days went by, things got worse. Yvonne refused to do any housework. She would sleep late and stay in her room all day. If Mama Tunda asked for help, she would roll her eyes or pretend not to hear. Sometimes, she would slam the door and say, "I'm not your maid." She started blaming Mama Tunde for everything. "You just don't want me to be happy," she said once. "You're trying to turn Tundi against me." And somehow, Tunda started to believe her. He stopped listening to his mother. He became cold. "Why are you always complaining?" he asked Mama Tunda one night. "Yvonne is trying her best." Mama Tunda sat quietly, holding her hands in her lap. She didn't know what to say. For years, she had dreamed of the perfect daughter-in-law. Now that Yvonne was here, nothing felt right. She thought of Danielle, who used to wake up before everyone to cook. Danielle, who helped her bathe after surgery. Danielle, who smiled even when she was insulted. Danielle, who never raised her voice. "Mama, where's the food?" Yvonne shouted from the other room. Mama Tunda sighed. Her legs were aching. Her head was spinning, but she stood up slowly to cook. Again, that night, after everyone went to bed, Mama Tunde sat in the kitchen, thinking. Something in her heart felt heavy. She didn't say it out loud, but the words were already in her mind. Danielle never raised her voice, not even once, and for the first time, she wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. Yvonne stopped pretending. There were no more sweet smiles, no more soft words. She didn't care about hiding her real self anymore. The moment Tunde left for work, Yvonne became someone else. "Mama, wash my clothes," she said one morning, throwing a pile of laundry on the floor. "You've been sitting all day. Don't be lazy." Mama Tunda looked at the clothes in shock. Her back was already hurting, and her knees were weak. She had cooked breakfast, cleaned the kitchen, and swept the yard, but she didn't say a word. She bent down slowly and picked up the clothes. Yvonne didn't help. She just sat on the sofa, scrolling through her phone, chewing gum loudly. Every day was like that now. Yvonne gave orders. She refused to cook, refused to clean, and treated Papa Tunda and Mama Tunda like her workers. "Papa, clean the windows. They're dusty again," she said sharply. "Don't just sit there doing nothing. You're not a statue." Papa Tunda, who was once a proud man, now moved slowly and quietly. He had no energy to argue. He looked older and more tired than before. Some days, he didn't even come out of his room. Tunde saw none of this. When he came home, Yvonne changed. She hugged Mama Tunda in front of him and said, "Mama, how was your day?" She cooked small meals when he was around and pretended everything was fine. Then, she began turning Tund against his own parents. "They don't appreciate me," she whispered one night. "I do so much, and they treat me like a stranger." Tunda sighed. "Just ignore them." "No," Yvonne said firmly. They don't want us to grow. They want to control us. Sell the house, Tunde. Let's move. We'll be happier without them. Mama Tunde overheard part of the conversation. Her chest tightened. She never thought her own son would even think of leaving them behind, after all they had done for him. The house, once full of warmth and family, now felt cold and tense. No one laughed anymore. No one sat together. Meals were quiet. Even the air felt heavy. Papa Tunde stopped talking much. He stared at the wall, lost in thought. He barely ate. Sometimes he forgot to take his medicine. Mama Tunde, too, began to feel the weight. She still tried to act strong during the day, but at night, she sat in the kitchen alone, quietly crying. She never let anyone see her tears. One evening, as she sat washing Yvonne's laundry for the third time that week, her mind drifted back to Danielle. Danielle used to wake up before sunrise to prepare everyone's breakfast. She never had to be asked. She just did it with love. Danielle used to hold her hand gently in the hospital, whispering, "You'll be fine, Mama. I'm here." Danielle never shouted, never rolled her eyes, never made her feel small. Even when Mama Tunde was harsh, Danielle still smiled. She wasn't perfect, Mama Tunde whispered to herself, but she was kind. The memories cut deep. They reminded her of what she had lost. Outside, the neighbors were starting to notice too. The once busy compound was now quiet. No smells of jollof rice or stew. No laughter from the kitchen. Just silence. One woman whispered to another, "That new wife is different, oh. No respect." Another added, "Danielle was always sweeping, always smiling. This one? They threw out gold for brass," someone said, and the words spread quickly through the street. One afternoon, as Mama Tunde walked slowly to the gate, a neighbor stopped her. "How are things, Mama?" she asked gently. Mama Tunde forced a smile. "We thank God." But her eyes gave her away. They looked tired, sad, empty. Inside the house, Yvonne was on a video call, laughing loudly, not even noticing that Mama Tunde had been gone for over an hour. That night, Mama Tunde sat on the porch, looking up at the sky. The stars used to comfort her. Now, they just reminded her of all the quiet nights Danielle used to sit beside her, both of them drinking tea and talking about nothing. She missed Danielle, but more than that, she regretted everything. The harsh words, the cold silence, the way she let Tunde send her away without a fight. She loved us, Mama Tunde whispered to herself, and we didn't see it. Now, she saw it clearly, but it was too late. Yvonne had taken Danielle's place, but not her heart, and the family, once strong and united, was falling apart piece by piece. The house was full that day. It was Papa Tunde's birthday, and the family had invited a few relatives over. There was food, music, and laughter, at least on the outside. Yvonne wore a shiny dress and walked around like a queen. She didn't help with anything. Mama Tunde cooked all morning and Papa Tunde sat quietly, tired but smiling. But the peace didn't last. While everyone was eating, Mama Tunde politely asked Yvonne to help serve drinks to the guests. Yvonne turned, eyes full of anger. Then she raised her voice for everyone to hear. "You people have no class," she said, loud and sharp. "You're lucky I even married into this trash of a family." The room went silent. Everyone stopped eating. Mama Tunde's hands shook. Her face went pale. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. Tunde stood up, embarrassed. "Yvonne, what are you saying?" But Yvonne just rolled her eyes and walked away. That night, the house felt heavy. No one spoke. The guests had left quickly, whispering as they walked out. The shame was deep. Later, as Tunde walked past the guest room, he heard Yvonne talking on the phone. She didn't know he was there. "Please, I can't stay here much longer," she said. "I already took enough money from his account. I'm not suffering with these people. I only married him for the money, remember?" Tunde froze. His heart pounded. He felt like the floor under him was shaking. Quietly, he walked away and sat on the edge of the bed. His mind raced. He checked his bank account. Several large transfers had been made to a name he didn't recognize. It was true. Yvonne wasn't just rude. She was using him. She never loved him. She just saw him as a ticket to comfort and money. The next morning, Tunde confronted her. "I heard your call," he said, holding up his phone, "and I checked the money. You've been stealing from me." Yvonne didn't deny it. She just laughed. "And so what?" she said. "You and your useless family deserve it. You think I would stay here and suffer? Never." She cursed him. She insulted his parents. She packed her things quickly and slammed the door behind her. Tunde stood still, broken. The house was quiet again, but now it felt empty. Papa Tunda sat on the porch, head in his hands. Mama Tunda sat on the couch, tears running down her face. Everything was gone. Peace, love, trust, even the money. Tunde walked slowly to his room. For the first time, he saw the truth. He had lost Danielle, the woman who loved and respected his family. He had chosen charm over character. Now he had nothing left. The family was in ruins. No money, no peace, no one to blame but himself. Tunde sat alone in his room. The house was too quiet. No laughter, no footsteps in the hallway, no smell of cooking, just silence and regret. He picked up his phone and looked at Danielle's number. His hands shook. After everything he had done, after allowing her to be pushed out, would she even answer? Still, he dialed. The phone rang, and then went to voicemail. He tried again the next day. This time, he sent a message. Danielle, I know I don't deserve your time, but I just want to say I'm sorry. You were good to us. I see that now. I was blind and I'm sorry. He stared at the screen, hoping for a reply, but none came. Meanwhile, Mama Tunda sat at the dining table with a pen and paper. Her hand shook as she wrote the letter. Dear Danielle, I don't know how to begin, but I will try. You were a light in our home, and we treated you badly. I was proud, harsh, and wrong. I believed lies and pushed you aside. I see that now. You cooked for us, cared for us, and treated us like your own parents. And what did we give you in return? Silence. Rejection. I'm sorry, my daughter. We didn't deserve you. Please forgive me. She folded the letter gently and gave it to a neighbor who knew where Danielle now lived. A few days later, Danielle received it. She sat on a wooden bench outside her small but cozy house, surrounded by new friends who smiled warmly. The sun was shining, birds chirped in the trees, and for the first time in a long while, her heart was at peace. She read the letter slowly, her eyes filling with tears, but not sadness, just release. She took a deep breath and picked up her phone, not to call, but to send one final message. Mama Tunde, thank you for the letter. Yes, I forgive you. I had to, for my own peace, but I won't be coming back. I found myself when you lost me. Now I know my worth. I wish you well. It was short, gentle, and full of dignity. She didn't write out of hate or anger. She was not that same Danielle anymore. She had grown. She had a new job in a small clinic nearby, where her patients loved her. She had made new friends, people who saw her heart and treated her with respect. She smiled more, laughed freely, and walked with her head held high. Sometimes she thought about the past, about Tunde, about how much she gave and how little she got in return. But she didn't cry over it anymore. She had healed, and she knew now, love should not feel like begging, kindness should not be punished, silence should not be mistaken for weakness. Danielle had been thrown away, but she didn't stay down. She rose, stronger, wiser, and happier. She closed her phone and walked back into her house, where a pot of stew was bubbling on the stove. Her life was not perfect, but it was hers. And this time, she was not living to please others. She was living for herself. Danielle sat at a small cafe with her friends. The sun was soft on her face, and the breeze carried the smell of coffee and fresh bread. She laughed quietly at something one of her friends said. Her smile was real, calm, peaceful, full of life. She wore a simple dress, her hair tied back. There was no stress on her face, no pain in her eyes, just joy, quiet joy. Her friends chatted around her, sipping drinks and sharing stories. Every now and then, Danielle joined in, her voice warm and gentle. She didn't speak about the past. She didn't need to. That chapter was closed. Now she had new people, new peace, a new life. She wasn't just surviving, she was living. A server brought over a slice of cake, and her friends sang softly. It was her birthday, a fresh start, a quiet celebration. Danielle looked around the table, her heart full. She had come a long way, from being rejected and hurt, to being seen and loved. As she took a bite of the cake, she looked out the window. Far away in another house, the people who had hurt her were now living with the results of their choices. There was no need for revenge, no need for loud payback, because sometimes God doesn't punish with fire. He simply lets people live with the mess they created. Danielle had been buried in silence, in shame, in rejection, but she rose, and as she laughed again with her new friends, the final words echoed quietly in the air. The people who buried you will one day choke on the dust. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring and emotional narratives. Your support helps us continue bringing these powerful stories to life. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment below.